Topics we will cover throughout this tutorial include unboxing, stand assembly, blade holder setup, material loading, software installation, and sending your first cut. Unboxing and setting up your new SC Series vinyl cutter is relatively easy and can be completed in about 45 minutes. Take note of any important document packages or advisory labels on the outside of the box. Remove the plastic shroud and be sure to keep all of the documents that come with your equipment. The dust cover and stand components will be packed on and around the cutter in styrofoam molds. Let's take those parts out and set them aside. The stand components you'll see first are a stand leg, 2 material roller bars, your accessories box, and plastic wheels. And at this point we can remove the cutter. Lastly, the 2 metal feet. Take the remaining stand leg and the crossbeam out of the box. Let's set the cutter out of the way for a while and go through the accessories box. The accessories box will contain serial cable, your USB cable, your power cable, material roller brackets, cutter mounting brackets, and your stand screws. All of the necessary drivers and user's manual for your equipment can also be found in your USCutter installation disk, as well as at the start.uscutter.com website. Now that we've inventoried the cutter and accessories boxes, let's assemble the stand. Start by attaching the plastic wheels to the square metal feet. You'll likely need a pair of pliers or a wrench for this task. Once you've got all 4 plastic wheels screwed in, secure a metal foot to the bottom of a stand leg with 4 screws. The metal foot should be attached to the side furthest away from the holes in the stand leg. And then again on the other side. Next we'll attach the crossbeam. The crossbeam has a rounded side and a square side. Face the square side of the crossbeam towards the 2 small roller bracket holes in the stand leg. We found that starting a screw on the end of the screwdriver first and using the empty accessories box for support worked well for this task. But don't be afraid to get a second pair of hands to help you out. And now for the roller bar brackets. Start by hand threading the small screws into the material bracket holes on the inside of the stand leg. Be sure that the plastic part of the brackets are in line with the stand leg. Once the brackets are on, you can tighten them up with your drill or screwdriver. Next, we'll attach the Z-shaped cutter mounting brackets. These will be attached with 4 screws and should appear as though they're stepping up towards each other. Start by hand tightening the screws into place, then sink them securely once the brackets are on. Roll the cutter onto its back and remove the plastic feet. Now you can carefully set the cutter on the stand, then reattach the cutter's feet through the holes in the mounting brackets. If you ordered a material catch basket with your cutter, assembly is very straightforward. You will have 4 bent metal arms and 2 straight metal shafts. Simply unfold your anti-static catch basket and thread one of the shafts through the Velcro loop at the end. Insert the short side of the bent metal arm into either end of the shaft. Then, from the back of the cutter, slide the long side of the arms into the top holes on the stand legs. Drape the catch basket over the crossbeam, then repeat the process from the front, inserting the arms into the 2 lower remaining holes. Next, we'll cover how to set the depth of your blade. If your cutter came with a 3-pack of blades, open the blade pack and remove a blade from the foam packing material. Then remove the red rubber protective cap. The red caps indicate a 45-degree blade, while the blue caps indicate a 60-degree blade. Be careful when handling the blade, as the cutting end is very sharp. Insert the cone-shaped end of the blade into the blade holder. The silver plunger on the end of the blade holder is meant only for removing the blade, so that you don't have to constantly readjust its depth. The ballpark length of the blade that you'll want exposed will be equal to half the thickness of a credit card. Hold the blade edgewise against the side of your card. If the tip of the blade goes past or reaches the other side of the card as pictured, then you have too much blade. Note, this method is an approximation. Now let's test the depth of the blade. In this first method, you'll need some vinyl material. Holding the blade holder straight up and down, cut a circle. Our goal is to only cut the vinyl material without cutting into the backing. Looks like we have too much blade. Loosen the copper set screw on the blade holder. Reduce the amount of blade showing by a 1/4 or half turn. Then tighten the set screw back up again. This test looks good, but as we'll see, the blade is still cutting too deep into the backing. That can dull our blade and make weeding difficult. Conversely, if the blade is set too shallow, the vinyl will be difficult to weed and can cause the material to tear. With just a bit of trial and error, you'll have the blade set to just the right depth. Now let's put our blade holder into our carriage and load some material. To insert your blade holder, make sure that the metal ring around the outside of the blade holder is placed inside the carriage arm. Then tighten up the thumb screw. Before we can load our vinyl material, let's take a look at our pinch rollers and where they need to go. Lift the pinch roller levers to the up position and slide them so they'll be evenly spaced across the vinyl. The white stickers indicate where the pinch rollers can be placed, as those are the only positions where our feed roller is located. To set the pinch rollers down onto the material, lower the pinch roller levers in the back of the cutter. If your cutter came with a stand, place some vinyl on the material roller bars. Then load it into the back of the cutter. To ensure you're loading the material squarely, use the ruler lines in the front and back of the machine. Line up the edge of the material with the corresponding mark, first in the front, then in the back. Once you have them both lined up, lower the pinch rollers. With the cutter's power cable plugged in, turn the cutter on. The carriage will automatically move from left to right and stop at its default home origin. The home origin is where the cutter will begin when it starts each cut, and it will move from right to left across the material. To maximize the use of your vinyl, you can change where the cutter begins cutting by putting it into jog mode. Press the Enter button with the cursor on local. Use the left and right arrows to move the carriage, and the up and down arrows to move the feed rollers. Press the Select button to move the cursor to the word Current, then press Enter. This sets that current position as the cutter's home origin. Changing the cutter's speed and force, or pressure, is even easier. At the home screen, with local test and copy displayed, use the up and down arrows to change the speed, and the left and right arrows to change the force. The typical cut speed will be about 500, and the typical cut pressure should be 100.